The new drought monitor is in, and we continue to see improvements across most of Colorado, but there's one pesky and notable exception to that. And you can see basically that bright red spot anchored over Larimer and Weld Counties, and this is where we still have some pockets of extreme drought. And this goes back to what we've seen over the last few months, specifically last month, right? If you're joining us from the Denver area or the mountains or most of the state, you got a ton of water. Fort Collins, we saw a fair bit of it, but not nearly as much as what we saw in Denver. So, for example, last month in the Denver area, thanks to that big snowstorm that we saw at the beginning of the month, last month, we got about 2 inches of water out of that. Fort Collins, only about an inch, so about half of that. So we saw some decent amounts of water, right? I mean, when we're getting an inch and a half precipitation in a month, especially a colder weather month like November, that's good news, but we just didn't see the amount of water that we saw in places like Denver and Castle Rock and down through Colorado Springs, Pueblo, La Junta. Those areas saw way more precipitation, in some cases as much as 4 inches of water last month. So we saw some of those improvements. Here's the reason why. So we talk about this all the time. If you want to blame something, if you're joining us from Fort Collins, Greeley, why you've been so dry lately, look to your north and look at the Cheyenne Ridge. We had a lot of storms pass off to our north, I should say pass off to our south, and that meant we had a northerly wind coming off of the Cheyenne Ridge. That is a drying and a warming wind, and that meant that Fort Collins and Greeley saw some precipitation, but not nearly as much as our friends a little further off to the south, like Denver and points south of I-70. So Fort Collins, Greeley, that's why you're still in drought, despite the fact that the rest of the state basking in plenty of recent water.